So let me tell you a quick story about one of our previous clients. She came in years ago, and let's just call her Jane, right? So on the very first session, she comes in, her and her boyfriend, and they think they have relationship issues and that's what's going on. And she is pretty upset about it. He's kind of calm and kind of go with the flow type of guy, and she is the complete opposite. She is very intense, and she has a lot of trouble, especially with men. And that was a clue right away for me. So in their very first session, they're like, well, when should we come back? And I was like, I told the girl, I think you should come back, Jane, by yourself, right? So she's like, why? What about him? I was like, just come back by yourself. So she came back, her second session by herself. And I started to follow this trail of, all this built up blame and resentment that she had. And I started to identify real quickly where it came from. Dad. See, about 10 years before, her father had left her mother. And it had been 10 years now, but the mother was still suffering. The mother was alone. She was just by herself. And the father had moved on. And this girl, Jane, was really upset that her father had remarried. Her father had 2 kids now. One of them was like 4 years old. The other one was like 6 years old. And he had remarried to this other woman. And here's the interesting part. Jane had never met her father's new wife. She had never even met the kids. 2 kids. She has a half brother and a half sister. She had never even met. Why? She was still carrying around the same blame and resentment that mom was carrying around towards dad. In some weird way, this was a way for Jane to really connect with her mom. It's almost an emotional form of support to kind of put her arm around her emotionally, mom, and say, I'm with you, mom. I can feel your pain. You don't talk to him, I won't talk to him either. And they had this really weird relationship. And that blame and resentment had really transferred over in her life and now started to affect her new current relationship that she was with this guy for years. They had 2 kids. They were planning on getting married. And she was always constantly angry at him and blaming him for things she didn't even know why. We realized that and discovered it in the second session. Listen to this. The story goes on. She comes back. The third session, you will never guess what she says. Right away, her energy is completely different. She's alive, she's happy, she's smiling. And I'm like, what's different? Something happened, something changed in you. She comes and says, you will never believe what I did. I said, what? She said, I got me, my boyfriend, and my 2 kids, and we all went to my father's house to meet his wife and the 2 kids that he has with this woman. I was blown away. She said she spent the entire day there. She introduced her 2 kids that had never met these other 2 kids. She introduced them. Now she had to explain that. Good luck explaining that story, right? She said her dad was so excited. He was so happy. And she said she met this lady that she had never even met. And she said the lady was really nice. She said, I made up this story and this thing in my head about how I thought this lady was or who I thought this lady was. And she said it was totally wrong. This lady is a really nice lady. They got 2 great kids. She says, and I see my dad is really, really happy. She said, I finally let go of all of these things that were affecting me for years, 10 years of her life. She started to realize that she was holding and carrying all of this emotional baggage, just like her mother was. And she was affected by all of these things in her previous life, in the past, and now she was carrying that over into her current relationship, and I'm sure it was affecting her kids. She found a way out just like that. What did she do? She made a decision. She made a decision to go see her father. She made a decision to set the appointment, to figure it out, to make the call, whatever it takes. She walked in there and she made it happen. This is the type of change that people get here. This is very common. This is just one scenario. We hear this story all the time where people make massive shifts in their life. When they come in here and change something that's so strong, so powerful, it literally shifts their entire life and breaks things wide open. This is what we can do for you. If you're currently struggling, if there's something that you've been carrying around for a long time, I'm here to tell you there's an opportunity to make a shift. Give us a call, send us a message, leave us your name and your phone number. we can help you too. If you're like Jane, if you got something going on, some old baggage or whatever it is, we can help you. It doesn't matter your scenario. We have tons of stories like this. She's just one. So if this sounds like something that you'd be willing to create in your own life, chances are maybe there's some area of life that you need to make a decision in. Whether it's your relationship or finances or your job or whatever it is. These stories here happen all the time to people. It could happen to you too. Give us a call, send us an email. We can absolutely help you. This is Armando Perez from the Self-Help Companies. Contact us. This is the place where we make dreams come true.